With the onset of the global pandemic at the end of 2019, life for millions of people the world over has changed. For many, these changes have been heartbreaking, with the loss of freedom, loss of loved ones, and change in economic circumstances. Burundi was also hit with the coronavirus pandemic, but today we want to share with you the story of lives that were changed for the good through the work of Restoration of Hope, made possible by your support and generosity. Since early 2019, Restoration of Hope had been supporting a lady called Via Kagenza, a single woman in her 50s who, along with her elderly mother, had taken in 10 orphan children and a young man who is deaf and also crippled. Via was doing her best to care for the children in her mud brick house, but with no source of income, no beds, no bathroom or toilet, external doors that couldn't even lock, and the only source of food being whatever they could grow in their tiny garden, the children were suffering with malnutrition, sometimes going days without food. RoH started by sending money for food, and after visiting Via in December 2019, Honda knew he had to do something to help this courageous woman. After making an appeal at Christmas, we received enough money to be able to build a 4-bedroomed house with 2 bathrooms for Via and her family. On the day the family moved into their new home, Honda turned on the shower to show the children that they now had indoor plumbing. They couldn't understand how he had made it rain inside. To go from sleeping on thin reed mats on the floor to proper beds with thick mattresses was beyond what these children had ever thought possible. 2 years later, we have received further funding to build them an outside kitchen, secure wall and gate, as well as an annex of 3 rooms, 2 of which will be rented out and 1 will be used by Via as a shop to generate income for the family's needs. God's heart is for widows and orphans, and He can cause them to prosper, even in a global pandemic. In 2017, thanks to the generosity of friends in the UK, we were able to purchase a motorbike for Pastor Joel to use as a moto taxi to generate an income to help provide for the 16 orphan children in his care who are supported by Restoration of Hope. Sadly, in April 2020, flash floods swept through Uvira, destroying over 15,000 homes, leaving more than 50 people dead and hundreds more injured. The moto taxi driver and his motorbike were swept away and his body was never found. We were able to contribute towards the cost of purchasing a car for Pastor Joel, which is now used to run a bottled water distribution business as an income-generating project. Life in Congo is difficult. War is a constant threat around Uvira, and more than once the car has had significant parts stolen from it. But Pastor Joel is determined to make the most of the support your generosity provides, and so far 2 of these orphans have graduated from university with bachelor's degrees. Another one will finish this year, and yet another has qualified as a mechanic. Even in the most desperate situations, there is reason to hope for a better future. Ajid has been part of the Restoration of Hope family since 2004. After leaving the streets, he moved into one of our Hope houses and went on to graduate from university in 2018 with a degree in mass communication. Since then, he has been employed by the UNHCR as a translator for returning refugees and has set up his own local association called Burundi Light of Life Action, with a heart to help other children access the education that had so changed his life. Since then, Ajid has put 12 orphan children into school. He himself is in England at the moment, having secured a Chevening scholarship from the UK government, which is enabling him to study for a Master's in International Social Development and Humanitarian Assistance at the University of East Anglia in Norwich. When we reach out and help the one that God brings to our door, we have no idea how far-reaching the ripples can go. From 2009 to 2012, Restoration of Hope ran a women's sewing project that trained women as tailors and set them up with their own small businesses. Of the 100 women trained, 97 went on to run successful businesses which could provide for their families. In December last year, Honda felt God challenging him to reopen the project. A generous gift from a friend covered the setting up and running costs for the first year. In March 2022, the first 10 trainees began learning at the Mutakura Hope House. Of the 10, 6 are single mothers and 4 are widowed, and between them they have 30 children. These women are the poorest of the poor, living in simple shacks and sleeping on the mud floor. Praise Jesus, through the generosity of friends, we were able to set each woman up with a small income generating project to run in the afternoons after their sewing classes had finished, and to purchase beds, mattresses and clothes to bless their families. So even before they are qualified as tailors, their lives have been dramatically transformed. One lady apologised that she might be late getting to the sewing centre the day after she received her bed, as she had never slept on a mattress before and thought she might sleep for a whole week. Our community outreach at Christmas has grown from a few children coming over to the Hope House to sing songs with the RoH boys and get treats, to now over 1,000 children from the neighbourhood are being blessed on Christmas Eve. It is now the RoH boys that run the outreach and are responsible for every area, from buying and bagging up the snacks to trying to maintain control of so many children. It is utter mayhem, but through it, these children get to hear about the greatest gift that was ever given, the gift of Jesus. Thanks to your generosity in supporting our educational charity, Hope in Burundi, we are able to put 137 children and young people through school. 83 are in primary education, 44 in secondary school, and at present we have 10 studying at university. Honda also set up a preschool in an impoverished neighbourhood on the outskirts of the city, where 80 children are educated. Since we were last in the UK, 5 young people supported by Hope in Burundi have graduated from university. From the bottom of our hearts, we extend our thanks to you for all you are doing to help change lives and transform destinies through your prayers and financial support of the work of restoration of hope in Burundi. On behalf of the hundreds of people we minister to, thank you for your generosity.